The airplane cabin hummed softly with a steady drone of engines, but inside seat 14A, a world of exhaustion, grief, and resilience quietly lived. Reed Caldwell, a young single father with tired green eyes and hands calloused from work, sat cradling his sleeping 5-year-old daughter Luna. Her small head rested on his chest, her tiny fingers still clutching the corner of her blanket. Reed had barely slept in days. He wasn't traveling for vacation or business. He was traveling to say goodbye. The funeral was at sunrise. In the seat beside him, a woman in a sleek cream blazer sat scrolling through spreadsheets and stock reports on her tablet. Serafina Lakewood, the CEO of one of the largest tech conglomerates in the city, looked like someone sculpted out of marble and purpose. Powerful, sharp, unreachable. She didn't know that the man beside her was holding his entire world in his arms. And she certainly didn't know that within hours, her perception of success, resilience, and love was about to change forever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and unexpected connections, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Light of Kindness. Your engagement helps us spread more heart-touching stories to the world. Serafina had been awake for nearly 40 hours straight. Corporate negotiations in Singapore had gone longer than expected, and although she was used to the brutally polished pace of her career, this trip had taken something out of her. She leaned back to rest her eyes just for a moment, just one moment, and that was when her head gently slipped sideways, landing softly on Reed's shoulder. Reed didn't react at first. His body was too tired to register surprise. But then he looked down and saw who was resting against him. The CEO whose photos were in newspapers, whose quotes appeared on financial podcasts, whose presence commanded entire boardrooms, sleeping, breathing steadily, her face relaxed into humanity. For the first time, she didn't look like a titan of industry. She looked like someone who had simply been carrying too much for too long. Reed didn't dare move. He didn't want to wake Luna. And maybe deep down, he didn't want to wake Serafina either. It had been a long time since someone had rested near him like this. The flight continued quietly, clouds drifting by outside the window. A soft peace settled over the row. But peace never lasts. The captain's announcement came over the speakers, calm but serious. A storm was approaching, turbulence. The plane shook, jostling everyone. Luna stirred awake and began to cry, softly at first, then harder. The kind of cry that wasn't just fear of planes, it was grief, heavy and raw. The sound pulled something deep inside Reed's chest until it felt like breaking. Serafina woke instantly. She lifted her head, blinking as her senses returned. She turned, seeing Luna's tears and Reed's trembling hands, and before she could stop herself, instinct overtook role or reputation. She leaned closer, her voice gentle and low, a tone she hadn't used in years. "She's scared," she murmured. "Hold her closer. Let her hear your heartbeat." They drove through soft grey daylight, the road stretching through fields and small towns. Luna slept in the back seat, clutching the knitted bunny. The silence between the adults was not awkward. It was full, real. They reached a small white church. A crowd was gathered. Family, neighbors, pieces of a life filled with memories and love. Reed lifted Luna from the car, but before he could walk inside, he paused and turned back. "Thank you," he said, his voice unsteady, "for everything." Serafina gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. Then she reached into her purse again and handed him a simple white envelope. "For later," she said. She left without waiting for questions. Inside the church, under the soft glow of daylight through stained glass, Reed said goodbye. Tears were shed, hands were held, hearts broke and began to mend. When Luna finally slept again at his parents' house, Reed remembered the envelope. He opened it slowly. Inside was a business card, and behind it, a handwritten note. "You don't have to carry everything alone. People like you deserve support, not struggle. Call me, Serafina." Below that, a check, enough to lift every weight off his shoulders, enough to give Luna a stable life. But it wasn't the money that made his chest tighten, it was the fact that someone saw him. Weeks passed. Reed didn't call right away. He needed to think. He needed to breathe. He needed to be sure. Meanwhile, Serafina returned to her skyscraper office, surrounded by glass and steel and power. Yet for the first time in a long time, the things that once felt important now felt distant. The memory of Luna's tiny hand holding the knitted bunny followed her everywhere. The memory of Reed's weary strength stayed with her. One evening, as the sun dipped golden behind the skyline, her phone rang. His voice was gentle, quiet, steady. "Serafina? It's Reed." She closed her eyes, letting relief soften her. "I'm glad you called." They talked. Not about money, not about charity, but about life, about grief, about love, about what it meant to keep going when everything hurt. And slowly, piece by piece, day by day, connection grew. Not sudden, not dramatic, but real, the strongest kind. For everyone watching, if this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Light of Kindness. Your support helps us continue telling stories that remind the world that compassion still exists. Special request: comment kindness lives below if you believe small acts of love can change lives, because sometimes the most extraordinary love stories don't begin with fireworks or planned meetings. Sometimes they begin on an airplane, with a tired father, a grieving child, and a CEO who simply needed a place to rest her head.